Hi everyone. So today I'm going to show you my procedure of how I go from, well, we'll skip the board section, but from blank piece of ash to partly finished handle. So the first thing I do is obviously I mill my boards, dry them, and then I let them dry for a while, and then I'll give them a couple of months like that in the board state, and then I'll usually make a blank like this and just get it a little bit smaller so it speeds up the drying process. It sort of depends which time of year it is, so I don't want it to dry too quickly and crack. And then when I think it's gotten to the stage where it's dry enough to then get to this stage, which is a 90% formed handle, all it needs is hanging, trimming off the swell, and perhaps just a few little touch-ups to get it exactly how you want it. So the first thing that I do is I find my centre line in this board. Sometimes I don't always mill the boards, so if I've done them with, say, an axe or whatever, then I'll have to do it by eye. But when I have almost square board, it's never 100% on a chainsaw mill, but if it's pretty square like this, you can just whack it in the vise. And this is just to make it a bit easier for myself. And then I've got this, I can't remember the official term for it, marker gauge, I think. Yeah, no, you can get these in various formats, and they're usually for doing tenon work, that kind of thing, for carpentry, but it also works quite well for this. So what I do is, it's got a little nail on this side, and then you can adjust this piece here up and down. It's a bit stiff, but you get the idea. It moves up and down. So then you have to find your centre of your wood, which I eyeball it, just tighten it up a little bit, and just put a dot where you think is roughly the centre, and then come from the other side, and then you'll see this, well, you can't quite see it, but this side here, we'll see if we can get you over here. Yeah, you can't quite see it on the camera, I'm afraid. Downsides of the wide angle lens, but we've got about 2 mil difference between the two dots. There's one here and one there. So what we're going to do is close that gap and go slap bang in the middle of those 2 points, which is about there. And then it's very important when you do this to run off of one face side, and by face side I mean of one edge. So you'll run all the way along, and then when it comes to doing the underside, undo it from the vise, flip it over like this, get it back in, and then carry on and run that line down. And you'll find it all meets up at both ends nicely. So once I've done that, we can widen you out a bit now. Once I've done that, I take a Sharpie and just go down along it. So now that will be my marker for 90% of the build, so I know I'm dead centre. And both sides, front and back. And what this also does is means that you've got a perfect guide for cutting your kerf in, which I've sort of in 2 minds about cutting the kerf. Sometimes I'll do it before I shape the handle, sometimes I'll do it afterwards. Lately I've been playing around doing it before and hanging the head first and then shaping the rest of the handle. Whereas I used to do the other way around, I would shape all the handle like this, get it into this stage and then hang the head. My recent thinking is actually hang the head first, and then you've got a lot more meat to adjust it left and right if you need to. Because sometimes, particularly when you've got blanks that aren't saw cut, they can be a bit difficult to centre everything up on. And if there's any warpage, it just gives you a bit of room to tidy everything up and get it straight. So like I say, once I've, say we've hung the head, we've got our head on there, it's all nicely on, we think it's fairly centred. When it comes to shaping the handle, it's a fairly simple process. You taper the sides, and I usually start at the front, taper the sides, and I'll leave, say, about 5 mil each side of this line, so it gives me plenty of room to round it over. And then I'll come to the back, and I do the back last because I personally like a slightly oval shape that tapers to the front of my handles, so I'll leave the back slightly thicker. So a similar sort of process, taper the sides, take the middle off, blend it all in, and then, like I say, it's only a rough guideline, but I'd probably say leave that 7 mil either side of that black line. And then as I get it work it down, and then I'll do the same down to the palm swell, take the sides, oval it around, you can see here. So I'll make my oval at the end there and run it up, and then blend it all in to make the palm swell. So it's fairly simple process. I do use flap discs and carving discs to do mine usually, just because it's so much quicker. I've recently been playing about with cutting a lot of meat off the bandsaw on the sides, and then using the rasp to just straighten everything up and get it down to where I need it to be, like that, which I'm enjoying doing it like that. It's a little bit slower, but you can be very accurate doing it. So yeah, that's pretty much how to shape a ash handle or hickory handle, whatever wood you've got.